There we go. Welcome, everyone. This is Tech for Senior. It is October the 16th, 2023. I want to welcome everybody to the show today. As I was saying earlier to Hewie, this has a special moment for me. This is the week that we always got together and we jumped in the car and we headed down to Mesa, Arizona for the winter. We always left this week. So it is now raining officially, as Murray said earlier, it is now officially raining. And so we have rain all winter. I want to welcome everybody to the show today, including our guests from England. So thank you, Chris and Jim, for being able to drop in and say hello. They're, of course, over in England as part of the Chris's award or responsibility, or she is a Google product expert, and they, of course, once a year fly her to parts unknown, not parts unknown, but parts afar, I guess we'll call it. And this year she was lucky enough to go to London, England, and also is there with our good friend Michael Daniels. He's often on the show as well, so Michael's there. So we expect we'll get lots of feedback in the coming weeks when they get back. We have, of course, two shows this week. We have our show today, which is, we have lots of things going on. We're going to talk about, Bob's going to do a security news update. Of course, Chris has fun with photos. And I'm going to talk about, or Hugh's going to talk about how to dispose of your old technology. Bob's going to talk about digital identity. And then I'm going to talk about heart problems again. The interesting thing about my presentation is all the graphics will have been made by AI. So you'll be able to have a look at that. And then, of course, Ray has his music outro. On our premiere version, which I'll put, this is a video that comes on at 1:30. We will be talking about Mike Ungerman will be doing his first series on EV vehicles, which we did last year. Bob Gostischa is going to talk about what do you do with Facebook when you die? And Huey's going to talk about how do you identify a hoax online. So those are the three selections we have for you today on our premiere service. Don't forget that this Thursday coming up, we will be talking on Tech for Senior Live. This is where we review the news of the week. And we'll be there doing, of course, all the news that's happened this last week. So that should be lots of fun. So we have lots of things happening. Huey, I'm going to just unspotlight myself now. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I think my cold or whatever the issue was is finally dissipating. I feel like doing things and I'm almost back to normal.
How's the iPad working out? You're doing, having lots of fun with that? You got a new computer?
Yes, I got a new iPad, almost new. Well, it's brand new. It wasn't a refurb, but it's the last year's edition. But yeah, I've got all my email up and running on it. I had to go change my emails. I was doing a POP3 for my Gmail, so I didn't delete them by mistake, and I always saved them to my Outlook, and then my Outlook was where I deleted stuff. And so I've made them all IMAP now. So if I delete it on my iPad, it goes away. If I delete it on my phone, it goes away from everything. And it's working real well.
So you were telling me you've got a whole series coming up about iPads. That's going to be exciting, eh?
Oh, yeah. If I figure it all out and can talk about it, yeah, all right. Probably. But right now I'm doing a different series. So.
All right. Bob, what's happening with you?
Not much. Finally back to normal. My new friend is working very well. Lots of water. Stay hydrated, folks. Stay hydrated.
There you go. There you go. So they're all water jugs now instead of coffee cups.
You got it.
All right. Nice to see you back. And of course, speaking of coming back, Ray Baxter.
Yes, sir. Well, it takes a while to catch up with everything that's goes on that you just kind of leave aside for 4 weeks, but I think I'm there and ready to go.
There you go. Excellent. And I hear you got Carol's hard drive in.
I did a replacement of a hard drive in her computer. I'm going to do a presentation on what I used and how I did that in 2 weeks.
We look forward to that. That'll be great. And of course, Jim and Chris from London. Do I have to yell? Do I have to yell, or can you hear me?
Yeah, we're just relaxing before the main event starts tonight.
Very good. Yes, it should be lots of fun. And of course, Bill James is away. He had some unexpected company for a couple of weeks, and he said he's sort of off for a couple of weeks. So we wish him well, and we'll see him back as soon as when he gets back, I guess. And we will, yes, indeed. All right. I'm going to start the program a little bit earlier today because it's a big program. Bob, are you ready to roll?
I'm always ready. Here's my weekly security news roundup for the week ending Friday, October 13th, 2023. Microsoft reveals IRS notice asking for $28.9 billion in back taxes. Microsoft owes the Internal Revenue Service $28.9 billion in back taxes, not including penalties and interest, at least according to the tax authority. The tech giant has revealed in a filing with the Securities and Exchange Commission that it received a series of notices of proposed adjustment from the IRS for the tax years 2004 to 2013. In its filing, it said that it's been working with the IRS for nearly a decade to address the authority's questions about how it distributed its profits among countries and jurisdictions. And this is the agency's decision after a lengthy investigation. Read more at engadget.com. FBI warns of rising trend of dual ransomware attacks targeting U.S. companies. The U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation is warning of a new trend of dual ransomware attacks targeting the same victims at least since July 2023. During these attacks, cyber threat actors deployed 2 different ransomware variants against victim companies for the following variants: Avos Locker, Diamond, Hive, Karakurt, Lockbit, Quantum, and Royal, the FBI said in an alert. Variants were deployed in various combinations. Not much is known about the scale of such attacks, although it's believed that they happen in close proximity to one another, ranging from anywhere between 48 hours to within 10 days. Read more at thehackernews.com. Gaza-linked cyber threat actor targets Israeli energy and defense sectors. A Gaza-based threat actor has been linked to a series of cyber attacks aimed at Israeli private sector energy, defense, and telecommunications organizations. Microsoft, which revealed details of the activity in its 4th annual Digital Defense Report, is tracking the campaign under the name Storm 1133. We assess this group works to further the interests of Hamas, a Sunni militant group that is the de facto governing authority of the Gaza Strip, as activity attributed to it has largely affected organizations perceived as hostile to Hamas, the company said. Read more at thehackernews.com. New report: child sexual abuse content and online risks to children on the rise. Certain online risks to children are on the rise, according to a recent report from Thorn, who builds technology to defend children from sexual abuse. In our digitally connected world, child sexual abuse material is easily and increasingly shared on the platforms we use in our daily lives, said John Starr, VP of Strategic Impact at Thorn. Harmful interactions between youth and adults are not isolated to the dark corners of the web. As fast as the digital community builds innovative platforms, predators are co-opting these spaces to exploit children and share this egregious content. Read more at thehackernews.com. libq library flaw opens GNOME Linux systems vulnerable to RCE attacks. A new security flaw has been disclosed in the libq library impacting GNOME Linux systems that could be exploited to achieve remote code execution on affected hosts. libq is incorporated into Tracker Miners, a search engine tool that's included by default in GNOME and indexes files in the system for easy access. The problem is rooted in an out-of-bounds array access in track set index function that allows for achieving code execution on the machine simply by tricking a victim into clicking a malicious link and downloading a .q file. A user of the GNOME desktop environment can be exploited by downloading a Q sheet from a malicious web page, according to a description of the vulnerability in the National Vulnerability Database. Read more at thehackernews.com. 23andMe just had a data breach. In a statement, a 23andMe representative confirmed to Bleeping Computer that the breach was legitimate, but denied that it had anything to do with an internal attack on the firm's systems. Instead, they said that preliminary results of the investigation suggest that the login credentials used in these access attempts may have been gathered by a threat actor from data leaked during incidents involving other online platforms, where users have recycled login credentials. It looks like hackers got into accounts using credentials that were already floating around, and the attack was made worse by the DNA relatives feature, which is opt-in and meant hackers could also access other people's data. Oops. Read more at howtogeek.com. Google adopts passkeys as default sign-in method for all users. Google on Tuesday announced the ability for all users to set up passkeys by default, 5 months after it rolled out support for the FIDO Alliance-backed passwordless standard for Google accounts on all platforms. This means the next time you sign into your account, you'll start seeing prompts to create and use passkeys, simplifying your future sign-ins. Google's Sriam Kara and Christian Brand said. It also means you'll see the skip password when possible option toggled on in your Google account settings. Read more at thehackernews.com. Watch for my article on this topic in Tuesday's Tech for Senior newsletter. If you haven't yet signed up, do so at the link listed. This week's must-see on my YouTube channel. Dehydration can have several negative health consequences for seniors. What's worse, it can sneak up on you and impersonate different diseases. I know, I've just experienced it, and it wasn't pleasant. Please watch my video on that topic by following the link listed. Did you know? In 1939, General Motors was able to create a model for a self-driving car that relied on electromagnetic fields and magnetized spikes on the roads. Despite what cartoons have taught us, the Coyote can run up to 43 miles per hour, while the Roadrunner can only run up to 20 miles per hour. Imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited. Imagination encircles the world, thanks to Albert Einstein. And that's a wrap for this week's Security News Roundup. Stay safe, stay secure, and I'll see you again next week. Thanks for watching and listening. Bye-bye.
Bob,
Yes, sir.
$29 billion?
Mhm.
Oh my gosh.
Better them than me. That's all I got.
I know. Is this serious? Well, I guess it's
Yep.
serious, eh?
Well, we'll see. That's still up for battle. The IRS says you owe, and I'm sure Microsoft says, I don't think so.
Well, wow. What Hewie says about the new version of Windows, 12 being a subscription model, we may see the prices going up.
You got that one possibly right.
Oh my gosh, $29 billion. That's got to be the biggest, isn't that that's got to be the biggest one, isn't it? In back
Well,
taxes?
I don't know. I know I wouldn't want to receive that notice.
I wouldn't want to know. I wouldn't want that tax notice. All right, let's get on with Chris. Chris is next. Let's get on with fun with photos. Let's see what she has to say today.
Hi, I'm Chris Gould with Geeks on Tour. And when we're traveling, I take so many pictures. I mean, look at that sunset. How can I take just one? I'm going to take one this way. I'm going to take one this way. Oh my. It is just so pretty. And then I'll probably take a couple in the morning. So then what do you do with all of those pictures and so many of them that look the same? Well, that's what I want to show you, what my process is in selecting the best photos. So here are all the photos I just took. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Lots of photos of that sunset last night. Do I really need to keep all of them? Well, no, and a lot of people would say you need to go in and delete. Well, but these are all pretty pictures. I can't delete them. What I can do, however, is take a look through them and decide maybe which ones are my favorites. And then all you have to do to mark your favorites, so I'm looking through them. Now, that one is a favorite. On Google Photos, I'm in Google Photos now. I will show you in a minute on the iPhone and on the Samsung. You just tap the star. That makes that picture a favorite. Now, I think I liked one of the very first, and I like this one with the sunset reflected in our RV. I'll make that a favorite. And I think that one, nope, that one is a favorite. So now what? Instead of looking at all 20 or so pictures, I can tap on the library button and favorites. Now I am just looking at the favorites. There's 1, 2, only 3 pictures of the sunset. And if you should ever feel ambitious someday, so I'm going to back out and look at all my photos again. If you should ever feel ambitious someday and want to delete some photos that you don't need to keep, you know not to delete the ones that have the star on them. So that's how easy it is to use favorites in Google Photos. Okay, so that's how you use favorites if you use Google Photos. I use Google Photos for everything, but let's say you don't use Google Photos and you have a Samsung phone, you use Gallery. You tap on Gallery, and you can tap on any photo, and it's the little heart. It's the heart that makes it a favorite. And to view your favorites then, out from the main menu, it's the 3 dashes and favorites. Now you're only seeing the photos marked as favorites in Samsung Gallery. And last, for the iPhone, I still use Google Photos. But if you don't use Google Photos and you use this, I call it Apple Photos, you are looking at all your photos and you can specify favorites by opening it up and tapping the heart down at the bottom. That's the favorites. And then if you want to just see only your favorites, that's down under albums. and there is an album called Favorites. Now, a special little thing on the Apple, you can mark a picture as a favorite either in Apple Photos or in Google Photos, and it will synchronize and be marked as a favorite in the other. How do you do that? You need a setting in Google Photos. If I open Google Photos, tap on my little face or initial, my account button, and go to Google Photos Settings, Apps and Devices, Apple Photos, Sync Favorites. If that is on, then you can mark a favorite in either Apple Photos or Google Photos, and it will be marked in the other. Now I want to talk a little bit about editing. And I'm going to Google Photos. That's where I do all my editing. And this time I'm going to use the computer. If you use Google Photos and back up all your photos, you can look at them at photos.google.com just as well as on the phone. And I like the bigger screen. So this sunset picture that I marked as a favorite, what's wrong with it? It's crooked. You don't want to leave a favorite picture and keep it crooked. So here I am on the computer. I just click on this button, which is the edit button. I can make it straight by using the crop and rotate tool. That's the second one over here. And then you just click on the 0 point and you drag right and left until you see the horizon match up with the straight line grids. Okay, that looks much better, but as long as we're in here, what else can we do? I'll click on the suggestions, the first button, and try and enhance. No, I don't like it lighter. I like it the dark. How about dynamic? Well, that's okay, but I think I still like it even the darker. Or vivid? Kind of like that. But notice as soon as I use one of these premium editing tools, that's what the multicolored one means, it changes from save to save a copy. If I do that, then the edited version is not the favorite. The original is. So if you use one of the premium tools and you are forced to save a copy, then I recommend that you delete the one that was the favorite. So I do delete sometimes, when it's my work that created the extra copy, and then make sure to mark as a favorite the one that you've just edited and fixed. And lastly, I want to show you how you can use favorites when searching. So if you're anything like me, you've taken a lot of pictures of sunsets. I can search for sunsets. I'm using Google Photos on the computer, the web version of Google Photos here. I search for sunsets, and I guarantee there will be hundreds and hundreds of sunsets. But if I add the word favorites, so not just sunsets, but sunsets that have been marked as favorites, now I am seeing my best sunset shots. And then if you want to share, you should put these into albums. I create an album of my best shots for every month or for every trip. And I have lots of other videos on that. If you go to geeksontour.com and look at the tutorials menu and videos, search for albums, you'll see a lot. Have fun with your photos.
Well, thanks, Chris. That was great. Lots of interesting. I got a few questions for you later on. Hopefully you'll be there at the end. Now let's how to dispose of old technology.
How to dispose of your old tech responsibly. I'm Hewie Poplock. We're constantly buying new gadgets, from phones to computers to smart home devices. But once you've upgraded to the latest gadget, what do you do with your old tech? One environmentally friendly solution is to recycle it. Your old devices, known as electronic waste or e-waste for short, contain hazardous chemicals that can harm people, animals, and the environment if you don't dispose of them properly. This is why many states have made it illegal to throw your old gadgets in the regular trash. So, how do you get rid of your e-waste responsibly? Here are some things you need to know about recycling your old cell phones, computers, and other devices. What e-waste can be recycled? Nearly 100% of your old technology is recyclable. Everything from phones and laptops to e-readers to video game consoles to that old VCR you still have hiding in the back of your storage closet. If it plugs in or uses a battery, you can usually recycle it. How can I find tech and phone recycling near me? Take devices to nonprofit recyclers like Call to Recycle, or use databases like Earth 911 to find convenient drop-off locations. Donate to manufacturer, retailer, and other recycling programs. Sell or trade in devices to providers like Gazelle. Check with retailers like Best Buy for drop-off options that may offer incentives. Contact your city or county about municipal electronics recycling facilities. Use prepaid shipping services like smartphone recycling to mail in devices. Look for eco ATM kiosks that pay cash for phones. Check to see if there are nonprofit refurbishers like the Sarasota Technology User Group that refreshes and refurbishes old computers and distributes them for free to needy individuals and organizations. Participating ℎ𝕠𝕠𝕠 by Asurion and Asurion Tech Repair and Solutions stores offer not only cell phone recycling, but recycling for most everyday tech like tablets, computers, printers, game consoles, wearables, and more. ℎ𝕠𝕠𝕠 and Asurion participated in the production of this video. Can I trade in my used tech? Most wireless carriers have trade-in programs that let you put the value of your old phones towards the cost of a new one. Ask your wireless phone carrier for program-specific details. And don't forget about Amazon. It has an electronic trade-in program where you can trade in old stuff. Can I donate my old phone? Many nonprofits run their own tech refurbishing programs to help support those in need. If you're looking for where you can donate your old cell phone, here are some organizations: Cell Phones for Soldiers, National Coalition Against Domestic Violence. Be sure to erase your tech before recycling. Before recycling or donating your old device, make sure you completely wipe all of your data off of it. This will help to protect your identity and destroy any confidential documents or files on your device. Check your device's manual for step-by-step instructions. I will have more presentations that will show how to factory reset a Mac, a PC using Windows, an iPhone, an iPad, and an Android phone.
Thanks, Huey. I guess with precious metals becoming so rare now and hard to get, recycling is really important to get these metals back. I guess that's why recycling is particularly very valuable right now, and they want these devices back, eh?
Well, that, and they also don't, nothing happens to them. You put them in just in waste, it'll just sit there. It doesn't disintegrate or anything. And so by them taking pieces and parts and so on, it does help.
Very interesting. Although I wouldn't think with all the swollen batteries and problems that you have with electronics, particularly cell phones, that they'd want to ship those things, because those would all be sort of more fire hazard, wouldn't they?
I would imagine, yeah. That's why having something local. But some of the phones and so on, you can ship very easily, as long as it's not a battery situation.
Right. Jim, we'll take the questions afterwards. We're going to do that at the end of the show, okay?
Okay.
So just hold on to that thought. Let's, Bob, what's a digital identity?
Most of us have a digital identity, and it's more valuable than you might think. They say everyone is likely to have a living, breathing ℍ𝕠𝕠𝕟. Whether you believe that or not, this is for certain. If you've ever used the internet to do something as simple as create an email account or social media profile, like most of us have, then Viola, you have a ℍ𝕠𝕠𝕟. However, instead of an identical twin made out of flesh and bone that may exist in the real world, it's actually you that thrives in the digital one. What's more, that version of you has a digital identity, and it's worth more than you may think. Digital Identity Explained. The concept of digital identity might sound complex, but it's actually easy to grasp. Digital identity is essentially any personal data existing online that can be tracked back to the real you. For example, photos you've uploaded to social media, posts you've created, or comments on your online bank account, search engine history, and yes, if you're a gamer, your Steam account too. That said, we ourselves are largely responsible for providing the content and data that creates our online identities. With a whopping estimation of 4.2 billion digital ℍ𝕠𝕠𝕟ers thriving on the net, and especially when looking at it from a cybersecurity perspective, that's just as many opportunities for exploitation to occur. Your online identity can make others rich. As mentioned previously, your digital identity holds considerable value. There's a host of outsiders that would love to get their hands on your personal data and will take various measures to do so. While the classic image of a hooded hacker clacking away on a laptop comes to mind, and it's true that cybercriminals are a threat, it might shock you to learn that Internet Service Providers, ISPs, can be just as deviant. ISPs can sell you private browsing logs to ad companies who will pay top dollar for such information that helps refine their marketing objectives. Even famous game apps like Angry Birds have been found guilty of a similar practice. It's not just individuals lurking in the shadows that are hunting for our digital identities. It's big companies with public profiles that are cashing in at our expense. Taking control of your digital identity is important because digital identities are here to stay. As long as your online doppelganger exists, there will always be someone hoping to exploit it. There's good news. You can take a few steps right now to decrease the chances of that ever happening quickly and easily. Change to a search engine that respects privacy. The Avast Secure browser comes with advanced security that's built directly into your browser, allowing you to browse, shop, and bank safely on any website while protecting your privacy. Protect your passwords using password managers. Simply put, password managers put strong encryption on your passwords and allow you to manage them in one place. In addition to several other cool things they offer, there's an audit feature that checks for weak, duplicate, and old passwords. Always use a VPN. A virtual private network is software that establishes a secure connection between you and the server. Information moving between this connection is encrypted and cannot be read by your ISP. While this is a great start to concealing your browsing activity from your ISP, it does not hide the fact that you're using a VPN. You can push that level of concealment even further if you use Avast Secure Browser's built-in mobile VPN, which makes itself appear to be just an ordinary site. My thanks to Emma McGowan for the inspiration of this video. You'll find her article at the link listed. Stay safe, stay secure, and protect all your identities, even the digital ones. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye, and thanks for watching and listening.
Thanks, Bob. As always, great news and great information.
My pleasure.
Yes, all right. Now, heart problems again. We're going to talk about some medical stuff. This truly is we have a little bit of everything on the show, right, Hewie? We do a little bit of all the different things, and today we're going to add a little bit of medical information. Now, this video that you're about to see. Two things that are interesting about it. First of all, I did all the graphics with AI. So these are all, like we were talking about earlier in the show, these are put some words in and it generates an image. So you'll see that. And the second thing is it's a two-part series. So I'm going to be talking for the first 10 minutes. And the second part will be showing you how to set up and install the on your Fitbit, the cardiac monitoring stuff. So that will be next week, but it's too long to put it all in a 10-minute video. So there'll be two parts. So you'll see it will end suddenly, and then we'll finish that next week. So let's see what I have to say. Heart problems again. This week, two of my best friends had a medical event that required a pacemaker insertion. These two people did not watch Tech for Senior and were not wearing a smartwatch. Unfortunately, this led to a rather unfavorable event. Let me discuss this and how I can help. It's Ron Brown with Tech for Senior, where we make videos to help seniors understand technology and also help you with your health as well. Today I'm going to take off my regular shirt and put on my doctor's cape that I wore for about 35 years, helping people through their difficult times in life. But since I retired, a new technology has come along, and that is the smartwatch. This is an important device that can really help seniors avoid complications. Now, the first individual is a longtime friend of mine. He's a retired dentist and lives in Nebraska. Yes, I've been to Nebraska many times. There's a lot of very nice people there, and I have some great memories of Nebraska. So my friend decided to paint the side of his house, and he went up on some scaffolding and was painting the side of his house when he didn't feel so well. he felt a little dizzy and got down off the scaffolding and thought he should leave it for another day. He discussed it with his wife. She came out and helped him move some of the scaffolding over so when he came back and started painting again, it would be in the right position. But unfortunately, the last moment he went up the ladder and had another spell, whatever this was, and fell off the ladder. And the first thing he remembers is waking up in intensive care unit where he had a pacemaker inserted and 2 fractured feet and a back injury. So what happened? Well, his heart became very slow. He lost consciousness, fell off the ladder, landed on his feet, unfortunately broke both his feet, and ended up in the hospital. Unfortunately, this is going to be a long recovery for him because, of course, he has fractures and bones in his feet that don't heal very well, and also he has a back injury. And a very unhappy way to spend your retirement years. The second individual was a friend of mine that lives locally here. She was on a walk with her husband and ended up back at the car, but before she got in, she's collapsed and fell to the ground. She had no chest pain, and after the investigations were done, she ended up with a pacemaker in the hospital. Both of my friends within 1 week, and unfortunately, this could have been prevented. And if they had watched one of the 19 videos I've made about smartwatches and your pulse, atrial fibrillation, and pacemakers. So let's go over this one more time. So when you reach the age of 60, there's 2 conditions that sort of start to appear in your health. And the first is a situation where your heart slows down. It doesn't keep up the speed it needs to provide blood and oxygen to the brain. And it gets slower and slower and slower, and then you lose consciousness. And so we have to speed the heart up, and we do that by putting a pacemaker in, which is an electrical stimulation to keep the heart going. The second condition is where the heart speeds up too fast. And one of the types of this can be atrial fibrillation. And the problem with atrial fibrillation is you often don't know that you have it. And the major side effect of this is stroke. The other issue that's a big factor here is that as you get older from 60, the incidence of this goes up exponentially, not linearly, but exponentially, which means the older you get, the more common this is going to be in a big way. So if you want to protect yourself against this, then I think that the smartwatch and the monitoring your pulse is a very good idea. Let's look at 2 friends. Let's look at my friend from Nebraska. He's now going to have a very long recovery. He's got broken feet. I've seen this personally where this doesn't heal up very well, and he could have chronic pain in his feet and his back. Not a great way to be in retirement, but this is a totally preventable thing. This wasn't the first time this happened, I'm sure, and it would have been picked up had he been monitoring his pulse with a smartwatch. Now let's say my other friend that lives here had got in the car and driven home. She could have passed out in the car and a big disaster would have happened. So we have to be careful as we get to be seniors. We want to pick this up because these are conditions that are very treatable, and it requires you to monitor your pulse. So on the back of these watches, there are sensors, and the sensor can measure your pulse, and it measures it very accurately. Now, there are some watches that are not so smart, and they just measure your maximum and minimum pulse, and that's fine. Or there's smarter watches that actually communicate with your cell phone and can actually do a lot more. But the goal here is that I'd like you to know if your pulse is going too fast or too slow. So you should have a watch that you wear that will notify you if indeed it's going too fast or too slow. It's simple. Even a $15 watch will do that in a lot of cases. Now, what you do is you want to set up in the watch, you want to set up a maximum heartbeat, and let's say it's 140. You put that in there, and what will happen is the watch will bleep or give you some sort of notification if your heart is going over 140. Now, some smartwatches communicate with your smartphone and will send you notification and do more advanced monitoring. But what you need to know is if your heart is going over 140. The same happens with your pulse. You should set the minimum pulse on your watch at around 60. Now, this varies for each individual because some of the medications we use, particularly for blood pressure, like beta blockers, will slow your heart rate down. So sometimes you need a little bit of information from your physicians to help you figure out what the minimum is, but I would set it at 60 to start with so that it would send you a notification if your heart goes below 60. I am sure both these people we just talked about, had they been wearing any sort of watch that monitored their pulse, they would have had events before where their heart rate dipped down to, let's say, 40. Usually it's around 40 when you lose consciousness. And so they would have been able to go in and get help before these disasters occurred. So measuring the pulse with your smartwatch is so important. And this should be a critical decision process in purchasing a watch because you want to be able to track your pulse and notify you high or low. Now, it was very interesting. After this happened, I went and checked my wife's older Fitbit, and she actually has the atrial, I'm going to talk about atrial fibrillation in a minute. She has the atrial fibrillation monitor, but her old Fitbit doesn't have the high-low pulse notification, which is really critical. So that is something you want to make sure that if you are purchasing a device to wear on your wrist, that it has this high-low pulse notification. It's very easy to do. You don't need to spend a lot of money on your watch for this to happen. It's just it monitors it all the time and will tell you high or low. One of the big changes that has occurred in the past 5 years is the ability of your smartwatch to detect atrial fibrillation. This is a condition where your heart speeds up too fast. If it went up over 140 and you were in atrial fibrillation, if you had one of the cheaper smartwatches, it would just say your heart is going too fast. So with the changes that have occurred over the past 5 years, we now had some very accurate, sophisticated tracking that the more expensive smartwatches will do to identify atrial fibrillation, tell the doctor how long you've been in atrial fibrillation, and what are some of the aggravating and relieving factors for this. It's amazing what this does. And I've made a lot of videos about this, so I'm not going to go over that today. I'll leave the link below for a lot of the videos I've made that more specifically discusses this. But this is something we did not have when I was practicing medicine. This is really a game changer, particularly for seniors, because who wants a stroke, right? Stay tuned. Stay tuned for part 2. So we're going to move into, and I'm going to show you in part 2 how to set up the Fitbit app on your phone, and that'll be next week. We'll play part of that. All right, I think we're about ready for some toe tapping music.
Not quite toe tapping today, but it'll be enjoyable, I'm sure.
Okay, Ray, take it away. Oh,
Yeah,
listen, before you do that,
to stop the live.
before you do that, if you're over there on YouTube listening, we have to stop the live feed now. Don't forget, we have a premiere video at ℏ and also don't forget our Thursday show. So I'm going to stop the and also you can pop over here if you want to participate in the Q&A after. We still have lots of room here, so you can pop over and we'll let you in. So I will stop the live feed. Ray, take it away.
Here we go. Let's see what I got today. I close that down. Okay, Miranda Lambert. Is she the new queen of country music? So Miranda Lambert, a country music sensation, is the true embodiment of Texas grit and Nashville glamour. Born in Longview, Texas in 1983, her love affair with music began at a tender age. Raised in a home where country tunes were the soundtrack of life, it was clear that Miranda had an inherent connection to the genre. Her journey to stardom was not an overnight success, but a tale of tenacity and unwavering passion. Lambert's first notable stop in the limelight was her appearance on the reality TV show Nashville Star in 2003. Although she didn't win, the show served as a stepping stone, igniting her career in the country music industry. Now, in 2005, Miranda Lambert's debut album, Kerosene, set the world of country music on fire. The title track, An Ode to Empowerment, resonated with audiences, and her unique blend of traditional and contemporary country won hearts across the nation. Over the years, she continued to craft songs that struck a chord with her listeners. Hits like The House That Built Me and Gunpowder and Lead showcased her storytelling prowess, touching on themes of nostalgia, heartache, and female empowerment. Awards and accolades adorned her career, including Grammy Awards, CMA Awards, and ACM Awards, cementing her place as one of country music's leading ladies. Now, the above commentary, that was from OpenAI, and I noted that it's failed to mention Miranda's participation with the Pistol Annies, a folk country music trio of ladies, nor her 4-year marriage to country music superstar, really, Blake Shelton. Now, since Miranda Lambert is currently Carol's favorite female singer, it should come as no surprise that on our cross-country trip, we stopped on a Saturday night at the Casa Rosa, her Tex-Mex restaurant located in downtown Nashville. Now, to my surprise and slight disappointment, the crowds in the street resembled Las Vegas more than the capital of country music. Lots of music emanated from the various clubs situated along the street, which was only open to pedestrian traffic. But instead of country, it was mostly today's style of rock music. Nonetheless, we had a fun time at Miranda's club, and the food was delicious. As they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So let me show you just a couple of pictures of what the street in Nashville looked like the night we were there. So you can see it's closed off, police cars all around, and people just walking, bright lights. Here's another shot. Similarly, not what I expected at the capital of country music. And so today's clip is going to be from about 2 years ago. It's a song called In His Arms, and Miranda is accompanied by longtime friends and collaborators, Jack Ingram and John Randall. This is part of a longer video, but I've edited it to meet our time constraints. Simple country song, but beautiful harmony. That's what I like.
That was great, Ray. Thanks so much. Yes, indeed. We are now going to move into our question and answer session. Before we do that, if you have to run off, don't forget, in the premiere video coming up, we'll be talking about, Mike will be talking about the first of it. He's done this. This is, of course, his series that he started last year. And the first one is on the first of a series on EV vehicles. And I was saying to Hewie and Bob earlier, I got notification for Toyota that my plug-in hybrid is now arriving. So we will be making, if I make the decision to go ahead with this, it will be, of course, we'll make some videos about that as well. And Bob tells us what to do with your Facebook account after you die, which I think is going to be you should watch that. And, you know, there's a lot of hoaxes on internet that we all watch, and Huey's going to tell us how to find out if it's a hoax. So all those are great videos, and they'll be, I put the video links in there for our premiere video that's occurring at 1/2 the hour. The
Ron,
other thing is,
I was told that everything you see on the internet is the truth.
is the truth. I know. Well, there you go. Or it certainly is on Tech for Senior. Everything we say on Tech for Senior is for sure the truth, right, Bob? Yeah. Anyway, yes, for sure. And don't forget this Thursday for our, don't forget our show on Thursday. We have a lot of fun on that show, and it's the news of the week. Which will, of course, it's not a Zoom meeting. So those of you who keep logging in on the Zoom account, it's not there. just go to our website, techforsenior.com, and it'll show you how. There's a big button there. Hit that, and it'll take you to our YouTube channel, or you can see it on Facebook, whatever, either way you want to look at it. All right, I'm interested to know what people thought about the images I had in my video. Those were all generated by AI. I just it was sort of cool. I just said I need an image about this, and boom, it just created it. So particularly the fun of the fellow falling off the ladder. I thought that was so cool. That was the best one it did. Anyway, that was sort of interesting. All right, Jim Glass, go ahead.
Well, I thought your avatar of your doctor was just like you. It looked perfect. Well, I have a question for Hewie. I'm cleaning out a bunch of stuff, old computer stuff. What do you do with all the cables and power supplies? Basically, you were just talking about devices, such as computers, tablets, and what have you, and phones. What about the peripheral stuff?
Those things, depending upon where you're going to take it, but your local e-waste collector will take all of those as well. And the best thing to do is look up your area. You're in California, so I'm sure that there are somewhere in your county or city, or when they collect the garbage and put it to one place, they usually have a place where you can either take or they will pick up your old technology.
Yeah, well, I've been looking, and unfortunately, most of them list the peripherals, the equipment, but not the cables and power supplies and what have you, as something that they'll actually use. But I would imagine that the copper and the cables and all that would be certainly recyclable.
Yeah, but they do collect the e-waste, so it doesn't go into the regular garbage and go into into those facilities and just sit there. They have a place where it goes, where usually that they send them where somebody else does something with it.
Okay, well, thank you.
I just want to I had a question. I'm going to butt in because I want to ask Chris a question before they have to take off for dinner. Chris, are you still there?
Yes. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Because your camera's off, but I guess maybe you're getting ready for dinner.
No.
Anyway, so my question for this is, you've always taught is that for your favorites that you each month you create a folder for the month, and then you put the pictures that you like into that folder, and that's sort of what you have for your favorites. I guess I'm wondering how you envision to use this favorites that you talked about in addition to that, or do you think one's better than the other, or what do you think about that?
Well, mostly, first of all, it's not a folder, Ron. It's not a folder.
That's true.
It's an album.
An album.
The words can make a real
album.
Album, yes, an album. And that's the way I do it, yes. But I know a lot of people don't work with their photos as much as I do. So really, favorites can be all you need. If you just look at your photos every time you take pictures, say, oh, that's a good one, mark it as a favorite. You've done 90% of the work, and that might be enough for you. I do add my favorite pictures into an album per month, but if you don't feel the need for that, then just making favorites could be good enough.
It works. Okay.
And another way it could be used is just as a starting point. I mean, I end up putting more photos in my albums than I have favorited, because some pictures aren't really great pictures, but they're part of my memory of that month, so
The story.
They are necessary for my story. So I didn't favorite them. But if I favorited every keeper photo, then I could just search for October favorites. Boom, I have the ability to make my album that way.
Okay. The other question I had is about, it may partly pertain to the facial recognition issue, but I had the ability this weekend that I wanted to search my Google, and I have a lot of Google Photos like you do, and I've been using them for 10 years, a very long time. And I did a search, and I'm giving someone a computer. In other words, I'm presenting a computer, and it's a long time ago. It's probably 8 years ago. And I used to be able, when I typed computer in and searched on that, it would find the computer, and it would find me giving the computer to this person, right? Well, when I did it this time, it didn't find it. And I was wondering if there's a limit on the amount of searching it will do as it goes backwards. Because I mean, this gets pretty, as we move forward on this, people have a lot of pictures, right? Is it always going to search right back to day one, or is there a limit how far back it searches?
No, it searches everything, but
Everything.
It's AI, right? So
Yeah.
one time you ask a question might not give you the exact same results as another time you ask the question. So if it's a picture I know I want to find again, and I know what I'm going to search for, I will put those terms into the description of the picture.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Then I'm not depending on
Right.
the AI to identify it. It will find those words in the
Right. Okay,
in the
good
description.
point. Thanks. Drew, go ahead.
Okay. I actually stumbled across this feature a while back when I was looking for a photo of an owl, but I had no idea that the searching had a lot more to it. I did, after the presentation, I did just a quick search on what types of search criteria you can use in that box. And the one that we did was obviously one of them. It says that you can also upload a photo from your computer or take a new photo and have it compare that photo to your entire library and find similar photos. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Oh, really?
In Google Photos?
Yes.
That's the feature people have been asking for, but I didn't think it had been implemented. And you can do that just in Google. You can search.
Yeah, this says Google Photos by
image.
using visual search. Click on the camera icon in the search bar, take a photo, or upload an existing photo. I'm not sure if this is in Google Photos on Windows or Google Photos on the phone.
There
It
is no
doesn't
Google.
say that for sure.
It sure sounds like Google
And then
Images. not Google
it
Photos.
has a filter search so that you can search by date, which might help you, Ron, if you want to search by, eliminate all photos newer than 2015, for example.
Yeah, you can search within date. Yeah, you could search for computer before 1990 to get some of my pictures. But
I don't see it on a search in Google Photos on a computer. It might be there on the phone, but I don't see it in Google
What, the
Photos.
image-
In the
search by an
search.
image?
Image.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't.
That'd be pretty cool if it could do that. That'd be
It-
wow. That'd be really interesting.
It has
I'm gonna
definitely been a
look for it
requested
right
feature
now.
because you can do it on the internet. You can search public images
Right.
for something that is like an image that you have, but I don't know how to do it in Google Photos.
Oh, interesting. All right. Well, there we go. Carl, go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep. Fine.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I think Jim spooked my Zoom account here because if you see, there's a picture of me that I did
Yeah.
not connect to my Zoom. And if I turn off that picture came from another account I was talking about earlier for seniors called Silver Sneakers. It's the only place I used the picture. Somehow Zoom found that picture. So when I'm in
Zoom doesn't find. You have to upload in order for it to show up.
Okay. When I turned off the camera, now you see me on live camera.
Correct.
And I did not upload anything. This is the very first time it happened, and it only happened coincidentally when Jim brought it up. So I don't know how it found it. But if I
Nice
turn off
picture.
the
It's a
video-
nice picture. I think it's fine.
Well, I know it's a good picture. I use it on Silver Sneakers, my senior exercise account.
Actually, Carl, I saw that picture last week.
Did you?
Yes, I did. I remember commenting to myself how much younger you looked.
Well, it's not that old. I don't remember. I think it's about 3 or 4 years old, maybe 5 years old. But
That was
anyways,
there
it was a
last
good
week.
picture. I think I took it. I don't remember where. But anyways, I have a question for you, Ray. I have so many videos on my DVR, my DirecTV DVR,
Mhm.
and I would put my phone number in the chat, and I'd like to talk to you about some options for downloading them or saving them. Would you be interested in doing that?
Sure, no, not a problem. The key on the DVR is the manufacturer of and what cable company you're using. It has to have certain output connectors, and many of
Okay.
them do not, because they don't want you to copy
Yeah.
them to your hard drive. So that's the key. You have to know what output features or connectors
Okay.
you have on that DVR.
All right. Okay, I'll put my phone number in the chat. It's my home number, and I know who's calling, and I
I'll
don't
call
answer.
you, and you may get calls from 35 other people too.
It's okay. Whoever has suggestions is
All
great.
right.
Thank you.
Sure thing.
Go ahead, Gil.
Thank you, Ron. I wanted to respond to the gentleman who had all those excess cables. I noticed at the end of every one of the CCOKC emails, you talk about where to dispose of old equipment. So it looks like someone there in your club has a way to do that. Here in Dallas, we have 4 or 5 members of the North Texas Linux user group who get together and refurbish donated computers and deliver them to 6 or 7 nonprofits. Boys and Girls Club, the International Rescue Committee, places like that. We'll hit 900 this week sometime over the last 4 years of storing Linux onto all these computers. So we're always looking for all the excess parts we can get. We let very little go to our recycler. Just wanted to throw that out. So maybe there's a club in his area that does that as well.
Thanks, Gil. And Chris and Jim, question.
Yes. 2 things. Bob, you mentioned the blue dot on your Google Photos icon.
Yeah.
Are you on a Pixel?
Yeah, Pixel 6.
Okay. Apparently, the Pixel has decided that red dots are out and blue dots are in, because all notification dots on all apps are just a little blue dot now. And that's it. It apparently is the same thing as the red dot that I see on my Samsung or my Apple, that it's just notifications, and sometimes you have to dig down a bit. But yeah, I think that's just a notification icon.
Good. Can you make a suggestion? If they put the blue dot, they ought to be able to tell you what the heck the notification is.
Yeah.
Because I've dug all over the place and I see no
Huh?
place where something comes up as something new.
Well, I got rid of it by going into the settings and turning off notifications, and then going back in and turning it back on. And
That's probably what I'll have to do too, and just forget about the notification.
Yeah,
But
I found one like on another app, and I went in, I read the notification, I came back out, and the dot is gone.
Yeah, but sometimes it's hard to find what it's notifying.
What it's
you of.
notifying
I know,
you of, but
I know.
yeah.
And
it's the finding that's the pain in the.
And Anne-Marie, you talked about your facial recognition. When you say it doesn't work, do you mean when you go into Google Photos and you do search, you don't see any faces at all?
Right.
Wow.
Isn't that what happened to Maurice?
Yeah, there have been issues with this, and Google is facing lawsuits here in England for privacy. They can't. The facial recognition is a problem for Google as well as for us that want it to work perfectly, and it doesn't. But I will be meeting with some Google product developers tomorrow, and I'll see if I can find out anything new.
Problem is both on the phone and on the desktop.
Right. So it is the feature in Google Photos that is not working at all for you.
Appreciate it.
The only suggestion that people have had is you can turn off the facial recognition and then turn it back on again. But yeah, it very likely is just an issue at Google servers, and it will it will come back.
Yeah, it didn't work. Okay, but thanks.
We had a question earlier about what watch I might recommend. And I think one of the things that, the only advice I can give lots to talk about it for a lot, but in a summary, it really depends on what phone you have, because most of these devices connect with the phone. So obviously, if you have an iPhone, then you're going to have the Apple Watch. Now, it gets a little muddy when you get to Samsung, and you have to be careful with the Samsung watch, because it is particularly the health apps on the watch usually will only work with the Samsung phone, but not all Samsung phones. So you have to make sure, if you're going to spend some money and you want the health apps like the blood pressure, it actually will take your blood pressure and your pulse and all the atrial fibrillation monitoring on your Samsung watch. You have to make sure that it's compatible with the Samsung phone you have. Then again, if you have a Pixel phone, then of course you have the Pixel watch. So it's really a more of a phone specific thing. Now, Fitbit, of course, works on all of them. And that's the advantage of having a Fitbit. So I wanted just to give you, those are sort of some guidelines that you can use, but you wouldn't want to go and have a Motorola phone and buy a Samsung watch thinking that the health app is going to work on with your Motorola phone, and it won't. So you'll be very unhappy with that situation. So that's just some guidelines you might want to think about if you are thinking about purchasing a device. All right, so no more questions. We want to thank Chris and Jim for coming in from London. Enjoy your dinner tonight. What are you going to have for dinner? Or do you know, you don't know what don't know yet?
You're muted.
You're muted.
No, both. All right.
It's a party. It'll probably be passed around platters and lots of drinking.
Lots of drinking. Enjoy that beer. That's going to be great, and you'll have a good time. Say hello to Michael for us.
Will do.
By all means. Yep.
And take lots of
enjoy yourselves.
And take lots of pictures,
Oh, you think she might?
We hope to see some of them too. That'll be great. All right. So if we have no more questions, I want to thank everyone for coming. We do appreciate you coming each week to see us. So thank you so much for coming. Thank you for our staff. Thank you, Hewie, for being here. Thank you, Bob, Ray, Chris and Jim, and whoever, and Bill, wherever you are. Thanks so much for all the work everybody does in helping to make these shows possible. We will see you again. Well, when I see you on Thursday. Otherwise, we'll see you again next week. We have lots of good show. It's going to be a really good show next week. And Greg Farrell is even going to talk on fire alarms on your house. So we're going to get him here, and he's going to talk a little bit about fire alarms. So, and I'll have part 2 on my video, and Huey and Bob, and we'll all have something for you in these upcoming days. So again, thank you for being here. Thank you for coming. Until we see you again, have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Hold on.